Hi again. My name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller, and today I'm going to be doing a what sold for last week, Monday through Thursday, which will be April 4th through April 7th. I had an amazing week. And then this week, or this weekend, it's Easter weekend. I think people are busy doing family things. Here it's rainy. But I went out sourcing yard sales, estate sales yesterday and today, and I have had one of the most amazing weekends. Today, I found so many treasures. I'm considering doing another one of my listing hauls where I take some of the things that I found this weekend and I'm going to process them, show you how I take my pictures, show you how I write it down, and then show you comps all at the same time, just to kind of be a little different. But I'm still going to have to do a regular haul too, because I wanted to go to this one estate sale this morning. It was an hour away from me. I go grab my sister, and then we go on to the estate sales together, because I saw Fisher-Price Little People vintage stuff. Now, the thing that I saw in the pictures wasn't there, but I picked up so many amazing things. So many. And then we went to a yard sale, and I picked up even more amazing stuff. I ran out of money. I had to bum $2 for my sister to finish paying for everything. But y'all, if this is how this yard sale season's gonna go, I'm never gonna get to my stuff from the Goodwill bins in St. Louis, because I'm gonna be spending all my time getting this stuff processed, which that's a good problem to have, right? So, all right, let's get to it. I am going to be showing you stuff from eBay, Facebook, one Mercari, and some of my Posh that weren't clothes. All in all, I sold 4 clothing items on eBay, unless I forgot to write something down, possibility, and then 4 clothing items on Posh for that 4 days. I only have about, I want to say, less than 900 items listed as far as clothing on eBay, and I'm getting pretty much to the point where most of it's also listed to, cross-listed to Poshmark. So I'm happy with those numbers. I think the other day, in one day, I had 5, so they're picking up, and it's just a good filler for just more, more money. More money adds up, all of it. So I'm thrilled. All right, so also before we get started, I wanted to give a heartfelt thank you to Crystal B, who sent me 3 Buy Me a Coffees. I so appreciate this when you guys do this for me. It's, just makes my day that people appreciate the videos and stuff that I'm doing for you. So thank you. All right, first item is this Build-A-Bear White Bear plush. I picked Build-A-Bear up. A lot of it is my bread and butter, $10 to $12. But once in a while there's some high dollar ones, so at least check your comps if you're trying to keep your sales in a higher bracket. But I did sell this Build-A-Bear for best offer of $9. And then these were 2 Gorham bears. Pretty sure these came from my high bid online estate sale. I went ahead and put them together. They were both month bears. One was from 1984, another one was from 1986. Their condition was okay. They had some discoloration. So I just thought I'm going to put them together and somebody can add them to their collection. I did end up taking a best offer of $18 for the 2 of them. Robert picked this up at an estate sale we went to last year. There were no toys at this thing, but we bought so much stuff, including some of the House of Hatton items and other things there. I think we paid $5 or less for this. It was a wood and cast iron coffee mill. It had been used. It still had coffee grounds inside of it. And it ended up selling for best offer of $45. I have a little bit of flatware still left. I sold the heck out of it last year when we first listed it. I did sell these 3. I didn't even have enough to make a set of 4. 3 Oneida Community Louisiana stainless knife set, and it sold for $13.90. This was also from my online high bid estate sale. This was a Harley Davidson spoke penguin from 2000. It had condition issues. A lot of times they have this like what looks like fake leather on it, and that stuff starts peeling and cracking and stuff, and it was on here. I went ahead and still listed it, and it sold for best offer of $9. This is an Aurora Baby green dog plush. I had to wash it several times, and it still ended up being slightly yellowed. I just stated it in my listing, and it sold for $23.20. It was one of those I thought I'm going to try to save it because it was such a unique color. I knew that it had to be worth something. This is Carter's Just 1 Year Frog Lovey. It says I love hugs on there. Like I say all the time, I pick up almost all lovies that I find. Some are my bread and butter. Some of them sell for quite a lot of money. This one sold for $18.55. This was a handmade reversible doll. I don't normally pick these up. It was probably in a bulk lot that I picked up, but it still sold for $13.25. Let me show you. This was one side of it, and then if you flipped it upside down and pulled the dress down, this was the other side of it. They're cute. It's just, I think you have to be looking for the exact person who collects these or finds this cute. This is a little 4-inch Folkmanis Mini Baby Emperor Penguin finger puppet. I pick up all things. I pretty much pick up all puppets unless they just really have some issues. I think I picked up a few today. And they do well. There are collectors, there are people who use them in shows, and they're forever looking for them. I think I just sold a white rabbit recently, and the person already sent me a message saying that it made it in time for their Easter program. So teachers buy them, preschool teachers buy them. They're just, you know, something that's highly collectible too. This sold for $9.25. I'm sure I probably picked that up the bins, so I have pennies in it. I bought a bunch of these at a consignment sale several years, well, probably 2 years ago. I think I paid $3 and $4 each for them. This is a Tokidoki Unicorno plush by Aurora. Kind of had ladybug colors on it. And I ended up taking, oh no, it ended up selling for $23.20. This one I think is my last one. It took the longest to sell. This is a Scottish Terrier dog plush. It didn't have a tag, so I didn't know who the manufacturer is. I think I used Google Lens and found something similar. Listed it for $14.95, and I ended up selling it for best offer of $10. Low dollar, yes. I sold this Cabbage Patch Kids CPK comb for best offer of $6. I find a lot of this stuff. You'll just see them in the bottoms of, you know, totes that had toys in it, dolls. I will pick them up the bins all the time, and usually I'll try to list them in small lots, but this one was so unique, and I knew the date on it. It had it on there, 1991, so I listed it separately, and it sold relatively quickly. This is Kids Preferred, My First Puppy. Again, had a little bit of damage on the ribbon, so I just take good pictures of it and state it, and it sold for $15.76. This is the second time we found this cookbook. I'm going to definitely be watching for it from now on. It's called Dining with the Pioneers. It was from a telephone company. I think I paid either 50 cents or $1 for it, and it sold for $23.20. There are several different versions of this, so make sure when you're looking at it that you find the correct one to do the comps on. This is Spark Create Imagine. Love them. This is a gray bear, 13-inch. They're from Walmart, and it sold for best offer of $11. This is, I bought a bunch of G.I. Joe. I want to say probably 2 years ago. I'm down to just the last few pieces that were listed, but I think I still have a bag here of stuff. I used one of the Facebook groups, Action Figures Identification or Help or something, to help me. I just laid out a grid. A lot of people use like a calendar, because if you use more than like 3, if you ask for help on more than 3 things, you need to have it numbered. I think I took a whiteboard and drew just squares on it and numbered them, and then laid pieces in each square. And then immediately, as soon as I posted the picture, I had people telling me this went to this and this went to that. And as they would identify it for me, I had a little Ziploc bag and I wrote down what they said it was, and then I would slide that piece in there. And then I had a Walmart bag just full of that, and I've slowly but surely been going through it. But this was G.I. Joe Salvo, just an accessory part. I don't know what else to say about it. And it sold for best offer of $8, just for a little G.I. Joe. Here, I'll show you the picture here. That's how little it was. So if you ever come across the weapons that go to the figures, because it could be G.I. Joe, it could be Star Wars, it could just be anything. But the members of that group, they are right on it. Very few pieces were left unidentified. Picked this up, I don't even remember where now, but it's been recently. I'm just sourcing a lot. This is Fisher-Price Puffalumps. It's from 1986. It was in good condition. It did have a few spots on the dress that didn't come out when I washed them. Here's the tag, was in excellent condition. Definitely, even if the tag has been faded, take a picture of it just so they know exactly what they're getting. I ended up taking a best offer on it of $25. This is also from the High Bid online estate sale. This is Richard Scarry Busy Town. This was the first plush I'd ever found from that series. I like to find the little figures, and there's little cars and buildings. I found them a couple of times, not very often at all. This one was sealed in its bag, and I ended up selling him for $21.25. This is Russ Weston, was the name on the tag. Just cute little brown bear. I pick up all Russ. They are what I consider usually long tail with few exceptions, and they're also in my bread and butter. He did sell for $9.25. I just love the brand. Love it. This is Disney Babies. This was a monkey. It did not have its blanket. A lot of times I find the blankets without the plush and the plush without the blankets, and I just sell them as replacements. He ended up selling for best offer of $8. But again, pennies in him because I'm sure he probably came from the bins. This was the second of these Carter's blankets. I actually picked them up last year at a consignment sale. I want to say I paid probably $3 for 2 of them each. And then they sat for like a whole year. And then in probably the last month, they both have sold. This one ended up selling for $27.85. Definitely keep your eye out for baby blankets. I try to stay away from ones that have like that Sherpa on the inside that has lots of wear from where it's been washed. It's just, I don't think those can be brought back to life. But definitely Carter's and Garanimals and Baby Gear, a lot of these brands do really well. But of course, check your comps. These are M&M Plush. They also came from a high bid estate sale. I tried to keep similar size, similar pieces together. I want a bunch of M&Ms, lots and lots in the lots. I think I've still got a few I have not listed. I think they need cleaned. I may end up taking them to my booth. But these two definitely had Easter, vibes to them. And let's see, they sold for a best offer of $9. But I got another one to show you here in a minute. This is Taggies from Bright Starts. I see these type of lovies a lot, but this circle one seems to be a little bit more harder to find, and it sells for a little bit more. I think there are other ones that might even sell for more than this one, but I ended up selling this Taggies for $13.90. Again, pennies in them. I featured this recently in a haul. You guys probably haven't even seen the haul, but this is Raymond Briggs. You might have seen it because I've done comps on it. It is by Eden. They come in varying sizes. This was the 12-inch size. A lot of times if they've been washed, they're going to have fuzz balls on them because it's kind of like a felt body. The hat and the scarf, all of it is felt. But I ended up selling him very quickly for $37.15 within a week or less. We sold 2 Bibles. I'll show you another one here in a few minutes. We picked, I think, both of these up at an estate sale. Robert paid a couple of dollars for them. This one is the Holman Christian Standard Bible from 2010. It was in really good condition. Did not have the box or the dust jacket that would go on it. And it sold for $46.45. And then we've talked about this a lot. We have been buying just blenders and food processors, especially the vintage ones, and parting them out. This was the blender base to the jar and the blade as a replacement. Did not even have the gasket for it. And those two sold for $13.90. Again, if you're new to my channel, I don't do free shipping, so when I say this sold for $13.90, the buyer also did pay shipping. This is Cuddly Quarry Critters. I've picked these up a few times. I think the other ones I picked up were bears. This was Moolah Moose, 8-inch, had his paper tag, and he sold for best offer of $14. This is Thomas Train. These are the Trackmasters, which are the motorized ones. If you're going to be selling Thomas, make sure you realize there's Trackmaster trains, there's the die-cast trains, there's the take-along trains, there's the wooden trains. Make sure that you're using the appropriate word with them. This one, I've just listed a whole bunch more Thomas. I've picked up a lot at a recent estate sale. So a lot of times I list the Trackmasters separate because somebody's going to be wanting, to add on to a current collection. This one was unique that he had the brake sparks on the sides of it. I think I did. No, I don't think so on this. Oh, yes. I did include a video down here on how it worked. And it sold very quickly for $9.25. Again, I think I picked this up at the bin, so very little in it. Now these shoes, I picked up at an estate sale. They were $2. I've been going to another estate sale for the last 2 weekends, and they've got all of their shoes marked $28. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's Nikes, Crocs, whatever, $28. And even on half price day, that's $14. But I picked these up for $2 at another estate sale. They were still in their box. I swear they didn't look used, but I don't normally list things that are that look new as new. Just not going to go there. So I usually will say light wear from use, but there really wasn't any signs of wear. I was surprised to see. I listed it kind of high because I was the only one that had this multicolored straw top. And it sold probably within the week for $40.88. I took an offer on. I think this is the second one I've sold in the last couple of weeks. Again, this was a blanket that I picked up at a consignment sale. Probably paid a couple dollars for it. It's by Little Journey. This one appeared unused, and that's what I put in there. I got the measurements off because that ribbon was still attached to the blanket. And it sold for, I'm losing my spot, $32 best offer. This is Sugarloaf, and that is not a brand I normally pick up, but he was unique. I had asked, a lot of people kept saying they thought it was Gargamel, but Gargamel never smiles. So I just used Black Robe Priest from 1998. It's been listed a couple of months maybe, and he ended up selling for $23.20. So even Sugarloaf in the right character can sell for decent money. Now these also came from that online estate sale. These were called Swarmies, and they're mini plush. And when I bought these, a lot of them still had the original small minis M&M containers with still sealed with candy in them, but there was no way. These are from like the 90s. That candy was old. I ended up not putting them with this. I think one of these containers, one of these plush had an empty container still with it, so I went ahead and left that. But listed them high, and I'm pretty sure they went to an international buyer, and they sold for $60.50. So definitely keep your eye out. Let me show you what the back looks like. Just had this little ring, and it was the little, let me go grab one. It had these, and they're all still sealed. M&M minis in them. I probably could have dumped out, opened them up, dumped them out, and included them, but I didn't. These, I believe, also came from the online estate sale. This was Pebbles and Bam Bam from Flintstones. These were 8-inch mini plush from 1999, and they sold for best offer of $23. This is Animal Adventure. A lot of times these are like my bread and butter, $8 to $12. But when I Google Lensed this one, I ended up coming up with comps. This one was dated 2005, and I ended up selling it for best offer of $18. So definitely always check Google Lens just to see if it's going to pull up a comp, and then you can check the solds. This I picked up at a yard sale. She had tons of curriculum, but a lot of it was at prices that if I needed it, it would have been a good price. But for resale, I just didn't want to spend the time. And she was watching, and I didn't want to do. I'm still one of those people who I don't like pulling out my phone and checking stuff if somebody's watching. I did know all about spelling, and I knew the cards usually did well. Some of her curriculum also was written in, and I just didn't want to take the time to sort through it to get the ones that weren't. So I bought this, had a couple of questions because at first I couldn't figure out what level it was, but somebody let me know that if you actually looked at the cards, it would tell you what level they were. So I added the level, and it sold within a couple of days for $22.35. I'm pretty sure I paid $3 for it. Another lovey. This one was from Anico. I've picked a couple of brands picked up a couple of lovies in that brand. This one had the Marine Corps logo on it, and it sold for $16.69. This was from the online estate sale. You know, a lot of times I find these little things either at the bins or like in this estate sale, and you're paying pennies for them, and I'm just like, I'm going to go ahead and list it. It was advertising figure for Pediacare. It's only been listed a couple of weeks, and it sold for $9.25, but it's just a little 3-inch figure. Let me see if I can show you the back. Right there, Pediacare. But it had lots of wear, which I listed in my listing. More of the chunky Fisher-Price Little People that I picked up at the Restore, the Habitat Restore. Paid $50 for a large tote of them, and these two together sold for $9.25. This is the other Bible we sold. This is a King James Bible. It was actually loose leaf in a binder. It was from 2011, excellent condition, and I ended up taking a best offer of $42.50. There were solds that were $59.99, which is kind of why I kind of went above that. But they ended up being new, and they had their box. So when I rechecked my comps, I always do that when I get an offer. I don't just automatically go no. If I think it's way lower, I'll go and check and see what the current comps are showing. And then I realized the comp that I had used was actually for new with a box. So I just went ahead and sold it for the $42.50. And then this is Russ Bessie. Just another bear. I picked them all up. This one was a little bit larger, 15-inch, and she sold for $10.18. Now let me show you. This isn't all of my Facebook sales. I had quite a few that weekend, and now again, that week, again, nothing. They had growing pains. But this is Disney Lion King Rafiki plush. He sold for $7 on Facebook. And then this was a Fisher-Price Little People Goofy Jalopy car. The thing with this also was I put Facebook on sale, and I think that generated a lot of interest in my items. People are always looking for sales, and Facebook does this where it slashes through it and shows, and I probably need to do that again this weekend, especially since it's Easter weekend, and see if it gets me some more Facebook sales. But if you can, go in there and set a sell on your Facebook items if you see that your sales are diminishing. This was Gund Olivia Pig dressed as a circus ringmaster. It sold for $8. This is Dakin Garfield plush. This came from my online estate sale also. It had a little Girl Scout cookie t-shirt on it. It was dated 1989, and it sold for $17. And then this, again, I'm almost out of the Fisher-Price Loving Family dollhouse stuff. I'm ready to start finding some more dollhouses at yard sales. But this was just the kitchen set with the refrigerator, and it sold for $22. $22 on Facebook. And then this was a Mercari sale. They've started picking up for me, so I'm hoping, I've mentioned this before, I have started trying to cross-list every single day to all of my platforms, even if it's just a few on Etsy, quite a bit on Poshmark, because I'm trying to build those numbers, and then Facebook and Mercari, some days it's 10, some days it's 20, just trying to keep active in there. And so, this was the first sale I'd had in quite a while, I think. This was a Pikachu figure from Carl's Jr. Again, I'm pretty sure it was from my online estate sale, and it sold for $9 on Mercari. And then, like I said at the beginning, I had 4 Poshmark clothing sales, and then I had these 5 that are not clothing. All right, this was an excellent sale. This was a Carter's Pink Pig plush from 2015. It sold for $32 on Poshmark. And then this was one of the backpacks that we picked up at Finders Keepers. I paid $1 for it, sold it on Poshmark for $10. Now with Poshmark, they do keep 20% in fees. But if you think about it, as far as comparing it to eBay. By the time you're doing sales on your items to bump you up in the algorithm, promoted listing fees, you know, right now I've got it set at trending, capped at 10%, but I'm noticing a whole lot of stuff is selling at 9%. And like I have a 10% sale going, so we're already at 19% off. And then regular fees, you know, it's way over the 20%. So I'm really liking these Poshmark sales, and I'm good with the 20%. This is a Homer Laughlin napkin dispenser from 1996. It was in blue. I picked this up at an estate sale. I want to say for $1 or $2. Sold it for $17 on Poshmark. These were some watermelon bowls that were marked Japan that I picked up at a estate sale. I did pay $2 each, so $6. I sold them on Poshmark for $17. Not the greatest purchase. I bought a bunch of stuff at that estate sale. Just trying to expand, do learning opportunities on searching for things. And then another plush. This was a Lion King Nala plush. When you squeezed her, she made this purring sound from Mattel, and she sold for $19. So, nice variety of things selling on there. Great sales last week on all of the platforms. I think this past week I had sales on all 6 platforms that I'm on. So, at least one. I finally have had a Bonanza sale. One and only, but you know, hopefully with me trying to do different things and not doing the ending and sell similar, maybe I can get Bonanza back on track, because I was doing really well on there the beginning of the year. So we'll see. All right, thanks again for watching. If you are enjoying this type of content and you're new, please do subscribe to my channel, like, send me comments. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Send me questions through there. Just, you know, I appreciate and love answering the questions that I get in the comments. All right, bye.